Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the second REACH Symposium devoted to the innovation potential of research infrastructure. Thank you for traveling here. Thank you to the people that are following the event from remote. We apologize for the delay. We had some technical issues. So I'm just welcoming you now. I will have a couple of slides for later. So we go straight also to catch up a little bit with the delay, and I leave the floor to Philippe Rossard from the European Commission. So Philippe, thank you.
Thank you, Monique. Good morning to all of you. Well, I would like, first of all, to thank the organizers, the REACH NCP network, for having organized this symposium, having invited me, giving me the opportunity to say a few words during this introductory session, and the local organizers also for providing, for instance, this very, very nice meeting room and nice environment. Maybe I could say a few words about the genesis of this symposium. As Monique said, this is the second symposium. This is one of the tasks of the NCP network to organize these kind of events, and basically before organizing the event, we discuss among ourselves the subjects, the topics of this symposium. And last year, I think it was already last year, we were discussing with REACH what could be the subjects that we could cover. And it came very, very clearly that we should address what we call cross-cutting issues in our program. And then we had the idea of addressing either innovation or international cooperation. And I have to say, initially, I was even keen to have both. And then my colleagues told me that it doesn't make much sense to have the two things together. And I came, obviously, to their reasons. Having said that, I'm happy to say that there is an event tomorrow on international cooperation. So despite the fact that I was wrong, there is still a little bit of international cooperation in this program. But the symposium that we are talking about here today is really focusing on innovation. And I think this is very important. I don't have to tell you that innovation is a key element of our program and the research innovation program in the Commission that started already with the previous Commission and the previous Commissioner, Madame Geoghegan-Quinn. And it's certainly true with the present Commission, with President Juncker, who has put very high the innovation on the agenda of the Commission, and our Commissioner, Carlos Moedas, who, with these three initiatives on open science, open innovation, open to the world, has also rated innovation as one of the key issues to be tackled by the framework program. And you can see, actually, from the activities that are being implemented in Horizon 2020, that we cover and we address innovation nearly in all aspects of the program, even in those parts of the program where you would not expect it. For instance, under the excellence pillar, when you see, for instance, the ERC for the European Research Council, you see that they have actions that support innovation through the proof of concept, for instance. You have them also with the FETs. You have them in all the societal challenges. You have specific financial instruments that have been designed, tailor-made precisely to foster innovation and facilitate the uptake of innovation from research. And you have also had many opportunities in the past few years to develop synergies between the different European programs, not only the program for research innovation, Horizon 2020, but also the other programs on regional, on structural funds and on strategic fund for strategic investments, which are there also to support innovation and the translation from research to innovation. So I think these are key issues there. And for research infrastructures, I do not have also to convince you that research infrastructures have an innovation potential. Clearly, I mean, that's the title of the symposium today. Having said that, we should not think that research infrastructures are incubators. That's certainly not the case. They are there to support the research that is being done by researchers. So it's not for innovation per se. The innovation can be seen as a byproduct of what research infrastructures do, and they remain tools for carrying science and excellent science in Europe. I think we can see innovation and research infrastructures through different ways. The first one concerns, for instance, the access to the research infrastructures by industry and SMEs in order to help them develop or improve the components or the technologies that they are developing and give them a competitive advantage with respect to their competitors. You can have interaction between research infrastructures and industry through the supply of high-tech components in instrumentation, for instance, through a contractual process, which lead to an increase of expertise from the supplier side, which can be used for the development of other components and enrich additional markets. And you can have also innovation per se within the research infrastructures, when, for instance, the research infrastructures develop some innovative services that has a market potential, and they would therefore decide to spin off in order to valorize the services that they have developed. I mean, there are the different ways that can be done in order to foster innovation potential. Today, in this symposium, you will find many examples of research infrastructures, actors that have actually taken advantage of the interaction between the infrastructures, the academy, the industrial world to develop innovation. Now, I think we have also to be a little bit modest and think that it's not the norm everywhere. It's not because you will see all these examples today that you have to believe that it happens everywhere. It's certainly not the case, and for me, to be honest, it was an eye-opener last year when we launched the survey, the consultation on the long-term sustainability of research infrastructures, and we organized a number of workshops with stakeholders, and we addressed, as one of the preconditions for the long-term sustainability of research infrastructures, the innovation aspect. And it was very clear that these two worlds, the research infrastructure world, the scientific community, and the industry world, were living apart and not knowing what each other had to offer. So it was very clear also that there was a lack of information from both sides on how more interaction could be developed. And I think this workshop, this symposium, today, is a very good example to raise awareness on the potential that are there in our program, more specifically, for developing, boosting the innovation capacity, fostering the innovation potential of research infrastructures. These discussions that will take place today, I think, are useful also because they will help us rethink or shape the actions that we are in the process of launching as part of the next and last work program of Horizon 2020, or work program 2018 and 2020, and also will have an impact on the activities, actions that we would like to develop further in the next program, the upcoming program beyond Horizon 2020, which is still called, for the time being, FP9. So I think I said a lot for an introduction. I will stop here. You have a busy program ahead of you. We will have plenty of opportunity to talk. You may have seen that I appear on different occasions on the program, so I will be with you all day, and I will have the opportunity to exchange with you on this subject. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Philippe, for outlining so well the aim of the symposium. Indeed, when we started the discussion was, yes, like 6 months ago. We were struggling also because the issue of innovation is not, at least from the NCP perspective, so straightforward. And also when we have to provide assistance and information to the applicants, we realize that we need something more, something like concrete examples, different perspectives. And this is what we try to put in the program today, to try to cope with this lack of information, as you said, so to try to fill in the gaps. And yes, this is why we came out with this type of program. So thank you for outlining this. Now let me introduce Mr. Miguel Castañao from the FCT Foundation, the Foundation from Science and Technology in Lisbon. He's our, let's say, local organizer, local host, together with our colleagues and CPs from Research Infrastructure, José, who made a terrific effort to set up everything. So thank you for taking care of us. And of course, let me thank, now that we're talking about local friends and local partners, the Gulbenkian Foundation that provide us this beautiful environment, this beautiful room. The garden outside are astonishing. So thank you once again for supporting the organization of our symposium. So Miguel, I think the floor is yours.
Well, good morning. I will just say a brief welcome address. I want you to start at 10, although this session started a little bit later. I just want to act as the local guy. Well, actually, José did all the work. I didn't do the work, although formally I am the one that welcomes you. I'm a biochemist myself. Now I'm serving a term in the National Funding Agency. I'm a potential user of infrastructures. I'm sure you have all, we will have a very technical meeting. I just want you to make sure that you will not skip a visit to the Modern Art Museum that is across the garden to the other side, and the Classical Arts Museum that is on that side. Because the environment is very rich, and actually you are in a very historical environment, because the life of Calouste Gulbenkian, the founder of this foundation, was very interesting and very rich. If you have the time to read about it, do it. It's worth it. There is a biographic historical romance with his life, but it's in Portuguese. I'm not sure all of you can read Portuguese, but if you can buy that book and read it. It's actually very interesting. And it relates to a period that was very, very confusing in Europe, just World War II and the end of World War II. And there's everything that a romance needs in that book. Now, of course, also being from a science funding agency now, we have a lot of concerns about European infrastructures. Of course, European infrastructures, by definition, are built on synergy. But the hidden dimension, okay, that is a dangerous hidden dimension of infrastructures that in the end they may result in a concentration of capacities in few focal points. And so in the end, from synergy, we may in the end build asymmetry. Actually, exchange should be also a key word in infrastructures, okay? There is more in cooperation than freedom of access to a certain infrastructure, okay? Exchange means you give something and you have something in return, that you exchange experiences. There is an exchange. I give something, you give something. It's not like I am the consumer, you are the supplier, and our business is consumer-supplier. We are exchanging something, we are cooperating. And this should be core to building infrastructures, because this is exchange, it's not only freedom of access. When you are in the funding agencies, this is very important. I hope this makes part of your reflections. And I said everything I wanted in a very few minutes, even 2 minutes later than I wanted.
Thank you. So we're running back to the agenda, and also to, let's say, to continue, I will just present Rich and the project that I have the pleasure and the honor to coordinate very briefly And okay, I prepare a couple of slides, but they will be on the website. There's no need for me to go through the presentation. So just let me quickly introduce myself. My name is Monique Bossi. I'm from APRE, the Italian Agency for the Promotion of European Research, and we are the host institution of Italian NCPs. Together with my colleague, Daniela, and today is her birthday, so let me wish you happy birthday, Dani. You're following, I know. We are taking care of the research infrastructures NCPs. And as we've said, the aim of our mission, and our mission is to provide assistance to our clients. And we have two main groups of clients. One, the NCPs themselves. So we do organize activities, training, networking, expert seminars, online tools to support the knowledge of NCPs, to ensure that all NCPs all over Europe and also beyond have the same access to the knowledge that is creating around the work program. And the other group is represented by the applicants, of course. And as a second effect of the transnational cooperation among NCPs, we try to ensure a fair implementation of the work program by assisting the applicants all over Europe and by creating connections, by creating knowledge and fair access again to the information that we can then return to the applicants. So we are running now for 2 years. We have had a couple of years in front of us. I think we did a lot, but still there is a lot to do. We are now facing the last part of Horizon 2020 with the 3-year work programs, 2018-2020. And of course, we are very much committed to ensure and to support the implementation of the work program. So our services, there are many. You can find different type of services. As I said, some are only for the national contact points, like for instance the training or the mentoring, the tripling schemes, which are exclusively implemented for the NCPs, as I said, to ensure that everybody has the same access and the same opportunity to gain knowledge about the research infrastructure work program in Horizon 2020. We have some services that are, let's say, across NCPs and applicants, like networking, like this type of event. It's interesting, I think, for us and for the general stakeholders to learn more about cross-cutting issues such as innovation or funding schemes, as we did last year, or international cooperation, as we're doing tomorrow. And then there are, of course, plenty of online services. Like, for instance, we are managing what we call the Observatory, which is an online repository of, we like to think, all type of information concerning research infrastructure, projects, people, national activities. So it's really, really a good repository of all type of documents or whatever type of information you'd like to find on research infrastructure. We are also running a search facility for transnational access and services. So if you go online, you can just browse the open calls to see what are the opportunities that are offered by the research infrastructures projects. And then we have a service that is called the Virtual Help Desk that is only for NCPs, but then the result of the consultation that we run internally is made available to the public through the FAQs service online. So when it comes to the time when calls are open, we try to keep it updated. We try to put as much as we can available to the public. And last but not least, for public events, okay, this is one type of events that we organize. As we said, thanks to the strict cooperation of the colleagues in the European Commission, we try to design the agenda which is really fitting the, let's say, the most important issues, but also to some extent political issues that are important for the implementation of the work program, but also we are organizing information days. And now I come to the last part. we are organizing an info day for the opening, the big opening of the call in October 2017 in Brussels. So if you follow us, we have a Reach account, we have a Twitter account, we have a website. If you still follow us, we put everything online. Today's session is recorded, so we'll make it available if you like to go back to some information that was provided. So everything we do, every activity that we implement is then made available to the applicants to fulfill, as I said, our mission, which is exactly to support the applicants in their participation to Horizon 2020. And that's it from my side. I think we can move, if you don't have any further remarks, to the opening session.
If I may, just to complete what Monique is saying, the role of the NCP is crucial for Horizon 2020, more for Horizon 2020 than ever before. The reason being that actually the Commission services do not interact directly with the proposers. It's now very rare for us to engage with the potential proposers when they are preparing their proposals. We leave it to the NCPs. So they have to have really up-to-date information, and they have to provide excellent information and contribution to the proposals that are on the way for preparing proposals, because preparing a proposal takes months. And it really would be a pity for those people to be misled from the start. And therefore, we rely extensively on the professional services that are provided by the NCPs for their work.
Thank you, Philippe. So we hope to continue this fruitful collaboration, for long. And now, as I said, we can move to the second part. And I would like to welcome Mr. Octavio Quintana, who is the Principal Advisor in DG RTD of the European Commission, and is now introducing us to the real core of the symposium today. Thank you, Octavio, for accepting our invitation.
Well, good morning to you. Good morning to you all. First of all, of course, I want to thank the organizers, the REACH project, also the FCT. Thank you very much, the Calouste Gulbenkian Foundation. Whoever is responsible for arranging the weather, thank you also, because it's a wonderful day. And I'll try to make the point of innovation related to research infrastructures. And before going into the substance, let me tell you that this trend to make a focus on innovation in all research and innovation programs, which is a trend everywhere in the world, trying to underline the return to society of the investments in research and innovation, but certainly has a tension between what research and research activities and what innovation activities are and can be supported. And this is not a simple trade-off. It's a complex trade-off for many reasons. First of all, that we can only innovate what has been whether it has been research, otherwise there is nothing to innovate. We need to keep a big effort on research, and don't forget that everything starts from research, so not only think about the innovation part, although we want now to support it. Second, and I think that's very important, that in research can be done more or less same way everywhere in the world. It's quite the way it is done, it has a system that more or less works everywhere, whereas innovation depends a lot, much more than research, on the local tissue where it has to be, in fact, developed. And this is one of the problems that innovation faces everywhere, that something that works in one place does not work in another. Research wants centralization. The bigger the pool, the better, the best quality. Innovation does not work this way, does not work in a very centralized way. So let me start with these considerations, because otherwise we can fool ourselves, not understanding the big differences that exist between two sorts of activities that are complementary, that we're focusing now on innovation, but A, without forgetting research, and second, making or understanding that are two different sorts of activities. My presentation will be on what you see here, so I'll talk a little bit on open innovation, the relationship with industry, what ESFRI has been done, the exercise on long-term sustainability, what our program, the program of the European Commission, Horizon 2020, how this is captured in the program. And what I like to say here is that you will see that, of course, it would be a little bit surprising the other way around, that most people or groups or institutions which work on innovation and research infrastructures come more or less to similar conclusions. And you will see that there are common trends also in what I'm saying. First of all, open innovation is it's just a matter of definition, but what is important here is that the concept that wants to capture is that all the potential actors need to be involved in innovation. So it's about involving everyone in innovation, because innovation, as I said, is very much depending on the economic tissue and the social tissue in which this innovation will take place. And open innovation tries to, in fact, embody this concept. In research infrastructures, I define open innovation. Now, research infrastructures, we want always in the Commission, and I think that now it's accepted by everyone, we want a broad concept of innovation, of research infrastructures. And now the issue is to couple the concept of innovation and open innovation with research infrastructures. The first thing I want to say is that innovation, as understood as the research infrastructures having a contract with the industry, is always very limited in any research infrastructure. So at most, you will have, say, 10–15% of the annual activity that is concerted with the industry. So you will never go beyond that figure. But yet, innovation is not just the part that you or that the research infrastructure works with industry, but much more. So the contribution of research infrastructure to innovation goes far beyond this 10–15% in the cases in which they do it better. It's much more than that. And Sergio Bertolucci will excuse me, but I'll use an example of CERN, in which the study of cost-benefit made with the LHC was done on to a little bit to understand how innovation works beyond what I was saying, just the involvement of the industry. And you see that here, those percentages could be different for a different research infrastructure, but what is very important is that in terms of a return, economic return measured in money, what a research infrastructure can produce is very substantial. The biggest part, or the two biggest parts, are first of all and I think that this is very important, all the technology, what you cannot foresee at the very beginning that will be developed, and yet it develops in the research infrastructure, all the spillovers that stem from working with the research infrastructure, and second, the part of capacity building. I think that those are two very important issues or parts that form the big chunk of innovation, the big economic return, if you wish, of any research infrastructure. And it's there that you need to think of it. I think that this is very important in terms of understanding innovation beyond the direct involvement of the industry. Also, many infrastructures and research infrastructures, and think about distributed infrastructures in the domain of social sciences, produce innovation in the sense of policy. So if you are studying a cohort like the SHARE cohort that studies cohorts of people above 50 years old, and you follow them in different countries for many years, you get some knowledge on which are the best lifestyles, the lifestyles which give better survival or better quality of life, and this will draw certainly some policy recommendations that again are innovation, because it's an outcome of the research which produces a benefit for the society, a direct benefit for the society. So I will not expand myself beyond this, but I think that it's important that we understand innovation beyond the direct involvement of the industry, because there are many potential consequences in terms of economic return and benefit for the society with research infrastructures. Now, let me go to this specific part of the industry. And here I will say, I mean, you know this very well, industry can be as a user, so what I was saying, this 10 or 15%, then the industry uses the research infrastructure for the core business of the industry itself, or industry as a supplier. And of course, we need to think this in terms of supply in principle for research infrastructure of novel technologies, or technologies that are really at the limit of the knowledge, so very well advanced high-tech technology. And those are the two typical contributions of the industry in research infrastructure. Those are the opportunities, as it were, that industry has with research infrastructures. But there are also barriers, and the barriers need to be understood if we want to lift them. The first one has to do with the fact that research infrastructures are built, and it makes sense, on the science case. And this may limit certainly the access of industry, because they are conceived and presented and focused on the scientific case, which is in principle the reason why you build a research infrastructure. Also from the part of the industry, and very especially the SMEs, a research infrastructure has always a risk, and this goes, is inherent with the concept of research. You do research because you don't know things, otherwise you would not do research. And when you don't know things, the not knowledge goes together with the concept of uncertainty. And as uncertainty for industry is something that industry in principle hates, because that implies risk. So this is something that we need to understand, and if you want to involve industry, you need to understand this risk assessment and try to measure the risk assessment and try to mitigate the risk indeed. There is a poor communication which has to do with, which provokes limited awareness of the potential industrial use of a research infrastructure, and this is very linked to the first point. And again, the lack of customized services, which means that the industry access is not clear. And again, everything is related to this concept of not being focused or not being taken into account the involvement of industry. Let me speak. Giorgio Rossi is here, who is the boss of the ESFRI, and other members are here of ESFRI, but I want to hear, so I'll speak under your control. But in ESFRI, there was a big effort to explore innovation and in these infrastructures, and this was the idea was to strengthen the relationship between research infrastructures and industry, and again underline or promote the potential for innovation of these research infrastructures. So the specific tasks were to try to foster the interaction between industry and research infrastructures, analyzing the barriers that was the major obstacles that exist for enterprises, and again trying to improve the cooperation and understand, and this is, I think for me, the main concept, which is the added value that for industry research infrastructures can bring to industry. So trying to identify and clearly present the added value that research infrastructure can have for industry. And those are the recommendations, and we, the Commission, we are very good followers, or we pretend to be good followers of the recommendations of ESFRI. And what I present here is what we have done in the European Commission with the Horizon 2020 to follow these recommendations, and I'll go through them very quickly. The first thing is the support of ILOs, which is certainly in the next work program. You will see the support for industry and industrial liaison officers. It exists already, but we want to keep it. The creation of industry advisory boards is a policy measure that we want to convey and explore and disseminate as much as possible with all the research infrastructures, that all of them have industry advisory boards. Raise awareness of the access to research infrastructures and the services they can provide. REACH is an example of it, but we'll have it again in the next work program, and it's part of the policy, and I think that REACH is a good example of what I'm saying. Develop a transparent data management policy. This is an essential thing. I cannot emphasize more here this notion of data management policy. If something has really changed in the world of research in the last 10 years, is the production of huge amount of data, and we need to completely change the way we understand science, and we understand the way data are kept and used and reused, stored, etc. So we need to work much more on this, and what we want is that all projects in our program have a data management policy explicit in the project, and certainly in research infrastructures we want all to have data management, a clear data management policy. Anticipate the foresight in the purchase of large equipment in the European research infrastructures. That was also a recommendation, and we partly address this in the next work program. It's important that these, the components of the instrumentation of research infrastructures are really in the loop. Support the pre-development, that's again highly innovative components that is linked with the previous one. We address it also in the next work program. Roadmaps and strategic agendas, this is responsibility of both research infrastructures and the national authorities, or whoever the funders are of research infrastructures. The framework for co-innovation, again, this is a recommendation that wanted to capture this notion of open innovation, and we think that we address it in the next work program, in the work program 1820, and I think that this is important because that's what we want to create, in fact, ecosystems, which is the next one, and technology infrastructures and technology and services providers, that I'll speak in a minute about it. So this is just to tell you that these recommendations, we're trying to incorporate them into our program, and this is why I presented them here. There has been also an exercise of, launched by the European Commission, but with the different stakeholders, on the long-term sustainability of research infrastructures. And I will not, this was a decision from the Council. I will not go into details, but how this worked out. But in terms of the innovation, which is just one part of the long-term sustainability, there was a public consultation on this long-term sustainability, and when it comes to innovation, the opinion of in the public consultation, what we see is that, again, the development of innovation ecosystems in research infrastructures, the role of intermediaries, and already stress what the SRIC had identified, so which is, again, the same thing, the industrial liaison officers that facilitate translation and from research to innovation. Try to have more involvement of the engagement of the industry, again, the industry advisory boards. So again, it comes here, pops up here, and facilitate the access policy, so that research infrastructures have clear access policies which will invite industry, that make attractive for industry to participate. That what exists, and for the future, new challenges, trying to have large-scale initiatives, industry, research infrastructure, and academia for instrumentation and technologies, but again, this concept of open innovation in co-creation, and developed strategic roadmaps in key technologies in synergy with the European Institute of Technology, with the KICs, with the fast emerging technologies, with the key enabling technologies. So all these instruments that appear in the programs that appear in Horizon 2020 that act as much as possible in synergy. So what do we do in Horizon 2020? Well, as you see, one of the goals in the research infrastructures programs is fostering the innovation potential of research and innovation and their human resources. So this is a part of the Horizon 2020, as you know, and in the specific program, as I said, there was written that enhancing the partnership with industry, making the pre-commercial procurement, and I'll present in a second one example. It was thought, and pre-commercial procurement is a heavy instrument, but in the end, I mean, it's a way to act not just from the supply side, but from the demand side. And although we, or the people that are in the research field, are not very used to work on the part of the demand, the military know very well how to do this, but we researchers in the civil field, we are not used to, or not so used to that. The use of research infrastructures by industry, repeating again what I've said as conclusions of both the long-term sustainability and S3, and the provision of innovation ecosystems. All this has been done already, so the integrating activities, there is a part of technology transfer, participation of SMEs, the instrumentation development, so all this exists already. In the InfraSup, you see the pre-commercial procurement, and the InfraNov, the technological infrastructures, and fostering co-innovation, as I said before. So we've been trying to respond to these recommendations with clear instruments that can develop these measures. And let me go very quickly through two examples. Quaco, which is, again, I'm mentioning here the CERN because it is the one who is leading this project. It's a pre-commercial procurement about these superconductors, and I mean, what is in fact is not important. The important thing is that we try from the demand side, trying to foster this relation, this cooperation with the industry, and so far it works. And although they were very scared at the very beginning with the heavy procedures, but now they appear that they know how to master it, and they are happier with it. It's important because it's a share of the technical risks. It encompasses a stage approach to the development of this innovation, and there is a financial commitment that also is stage. And as I said, the very important thing is the support of the demand side, so of the one who in the end will buy the product. And this interaction with the buyer is very, very important. The second example I want to present you is Amici, which is, again, for accelerators and superconductors. And it's what it's a model of long-term cooperation between the main stakeholders that you see here, and the idea is to create platforms, important platforms that deal with different parts of the research infrastructure, and all of them, try to involve in all of them the private side, the innovation side. And this is what we call technology infrastructures, and we want to expand this much more in the future. Well, I'd like to finish here. We think that these projects see a little bit what will be the shape in the future, trying to be intermediaries between the research side, the industry side. These infrastructures can provide it. We have a long way to go in terms of innovation in research infrastructures. There has to be explored and enhanced in different fields and different ways and different actions, not forgetting the policy side, not forgetting all the spillovers that are not foreseen at the very beginning, but being very attentive in what is going on, trying to always the innovation cannot be absorbed if there is no skilled personnel that can use it. Otherwise, any technology, if people, I mean, this happens in every sector. If there is a new technology, but there are no skilled people who can use it, I mean, it's completely useless. So the training part needs to go side by side with the technology development. All the things need to be taken into account. It's a complex exercise, but we need to insist in this part of innovation because it's one of the parts of the return of research to society. Society invests a lot in research, and one way to return this effort into society is through innovation. Thank you very much for your attention, and I wish you a very good discussion.
Hello, good morning to all of you. Before going ahead, please, Antonusi, could you contact Jose, because I think that they need your presentation to be on the computer. Thank you. Good morning, my name is Marta March. I am an NCP for Research Infrastructures in Horizon 2020 in Spain, together with my colleague Gloria Villar, and I am in charge of presenting this first session devoted to the innovation potential of research infrastructures at project level. For that, we will have 4 speakers, all of them involved in research infrastructures projects, funded all of them by the framework programs, and they will give us examples of how they tackle innovation in their projects and how they contribute to boost innovation and the relation of the research infrastructures with industry and with policymakers. So for that, our first presentation is from Roberto Trassati. Thank you for coming. Roberto Trassati is a PhD researcher in computer science, and he's currently a member of the Knowledge Discovery and Data Mining Laboratory of the National Research Council in Italy. His research covered topics on mobility and data mining, spatial-temporal data analysis, automatic reasoning, and privacy-preserving methodologies. He teaches in the Master on Big Data and Big Data Analytic courses organized by the University of Pisa. He's also a work package leader in an European project called Big Data, a research infrastructure that provides an integrated ecosystem for ethics-sensitive scientific discoveries and advanced applications of social data mining on the various dimensions of social life. Thank you, Roberto. The time is yours.
So, thank you very much. I will try to give you an overview of our project, the Big Data Research Infrastructure, and I will try to give you also a description of the actions that we have performed in order to tackle the objective of innovation and transfer technology to industry. So, let's do it this way. So, this is the consortium of the project, and then you see we are 7 countries, 5, 6 of them in Europe, and so the starting point of the project was the integration of existing research infrastructure that we had. So the idea is to have an organization of these research infrastructures and to come up with a European infrastructure. So we already heard before about the stakeholders. So those are the stakeholders that we had in mind since the beginning. So it's true that we are computer scientists, we are data analysts, and for sure, I mean, our first stakeholders are researchers like us. But we need to take into consideration the fact that, as someone said already, in order to construct an ecosystem of innovation and technology transfer, we should tackle also other kind of entities like economists, humanities research, but also journalists and the industries. So this is the first dimension of our project. So the idea of tackling to have a way to reach those kind of different entities. And then the second dimension that we considered is the how, which is the message that we want to promote in the project, because for researchers it's easy, let's say, to build up a container with several tools, but how we can transfer the message to the industry, how we can trigger, let's say, the interest of different entities to our analysis. So the idea, our idea was to start with some specific exploratories. So we selected at the beginning 4 exploratories, and more exploratories will come with the going on with the project, but the idea is, okay, let's take some specific context when we can show to the industry or to other researchers what we can do, which are the potential of our methodologies. So in this case, we selected those 4 at the beginning: the city of citizen, societal debate, well-being economy, and migration studies. So the idea is, okay, let's take a context like City of Citizen, where we focus on smart cities, policies that can be used in order to improve transportation system or, carpooling, whatever. And let's show how our research product can be used in a real world in order to improve those aspects. The same for social debate. So, analysis. We applied research tools like text analysis or sentiment analysis in order to understand which is the idea in a debate by from the population. And the same also for the well-being economy, where we want to build indicators that helps policymakers to understand what is happening in a specific place or in a specific country. And the last one was the migration study about, understanding the flows of migration and how these flows are impacting to the life, in different countries. From the third world and European country and etc. So the idea is using those contexts, those very specific argument, specific context, we can improve our message. We can focus our message to the stakeholders. Clearly, then those exploratives can be applied. This idea of transferring knowledge through those exploratories can be done both in virtual access or transnational access. As you already know, virtual access is something that is able to want to give tools, online tools, accessible by the users, and in order to be able to download a method, apply a method on the cloud, etc. And the transnational access is the way that we can provide a way to move people around Europe in order to have access directly to specific laboratories. So for the virtual access, actually, I don't want to bother you with the technical details, and this is a picture only to scare you. But okay, there is an infrastructure, a technology base that is able to provide guidelines, APIs, practical, let's say, best practices that we can use in order to integrate different technologies. And at the end, actually, the user will see a sort of protected context where we have these virtual research environments, and the user will ignore completely the technical, let's say, aspect of the integration, but can easily access the research tools. With this in mind, the implementation of the exploratories in the virtual access practically becomes the realization of different virtual research environment. So big data, actually, we have those four kind of virtual research environment. The first one, which is the So big data lab, which is let's say the virtual laboratory where you have the whole set of methods that you can execute, run, access, understand. It's the very general purpose, let's say, virtual research environment. And then we have also the exploratories, which are focused laboratories. So instead of having all the set of tools, provided without any specific objective, we have those methods, let's say, concentrated in solving a specific problem with some example and helping the user to understand how to interpret the results of those methodologies. This is an example, for example, of virtual research environment, explorative virtual research environment. So we have, for example, for City of Citizen, we have some tools, some example, a description of the methodology, and we will find all the methods in a catalog, which is able to where the user is able to search for new methods, understand which kind of technology is used behind, etc. So to go fast. For the transnational access, actually, we made some calls, and we made calls on the exploratories. So let's give us the contribution on specific contexts. So the final, we received some proposal and we accepted them. And I want to point out that the selection criteria are not following the rule of research, in the sense that, I mean, not in a strict sense, because we want to understand exactly the research quality by hand, let's say, not with external reviewers, but we got the reviewer process inside. To end up, I say the last thing, to go toward the industry, actually we implemented this action called the Tuscany Big Data Challenge, which is, let's say, a reverse challenge. We asked the industry to provide us problems, and we give them for free assistance, I mean, help in solving their problem with our research technologies and skill. So in this case, we are trying to solve real problem, giving for free our time, let's say, in order to make technology transfer. We organized also a master on big data, and again we involved the industry inside the master. So every student will touch, let's say, a real industry, a real context in an industrial partner, and I mean, it will very useful to transfer the technology since the beginning. So I end up, otherwise I will be killed here. So I hope that to I mean, trigger your curiosity, and so go to the website, and you will find much more information. Sorry for the delay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Roberta. I have to say that we will have a round of question and answers at the end of the 4 presentations. So if, in case you have a question, please take note, and you will have the opportunity afterwards. And now our next speaker is Dr. Gelsomina Papalardo. She's a research director in the Institute of Methodology and Environmental Analysis of the National Research Council, also in Italy. She has over 25 years experience in the field of atmospheric studies with LiDAR techniques. She coordinated ACTRIS Research Infrastructure Network and integrated action funded by the FP7 on aerosol clouds and trace gases. And she's also coordinating the follow-up project, ACTRIS 2, funded by the European Commission and the Horizon 2020. I have to say that ACTRIS entered the ESFRI roadmap in 2016. Congratulations for that. And a part of participating in different international initiatives in atmospheric research, Gelsomina is also chairing the ESFRI Strategic Working Group on Environmental Science, and she's the Italian delegate in the ESFRI Forum. Gelsomina, thank you.
So thanks a lot for this long introduction. And good morning to everybody, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure for me to be here. And thanks to the organizer to invite me to give the chance to contribute to this discussion today regarding innovation. I'm here representing the ACTRIS 2 project, but I will not use so much time to discuss about the project per se, but actually what we are doing in terms of innovation aspects. So just to identify the context, ACTRIS 2 is a follow-up of a previous project, and it's also the main objective is to consolidate the construction of research infrastructures, which is the platform for atmospheric research. So it's mainly supporting high-level, high-quality observations which are relevant to climate and air quality research. And I want to mention only this, I will not spend too much time on the project per se, just to say that this is the context, so it's related to to the developments which are necessary for the mitigation of and adaptations to climate change. And for these kind of things, there is a need for an improved observing capacity. And so there is already a big potential market in this field, and we expect that this will go in the future even more. And this is why innovation is one of the building blocks of Actris 2, but I will say of the entire Actris long-term strategy. It's not only because it's a funding opportunity, as Octavi said, there's a research innovation program in Europe at the national level. We have different kind of instruments which are related to research innovation, but it's also because we need a strong cooperation with the industry. We need to have, there is a mutual benefit because we usually develop specific standards or prototype, but then we need the industry to really develop the real operational instruments. So there is a mutual benefit, and this is why we are working together with the industry, and we decided to establish this Actris Innovation Platform with the main objective to further develop what we are doing in terms of standard making processes for technologies, which are of course relevant for Actris, not for all the entire technologies, possible technologies, to promote also the use of the research infrastructures to provide access to SMEs, but also to foster and promote joint public-private cooperation for high-risk innovation. And this is, you know, that this is the most critical part. And last but not the least is to establish a platform for the continuous exchange of expertise and information with the private sector. When we start to create a tool like that, we need to study the context where we are working with. So first of all, I'm here in a panel session which is mainly related to projects, but we need to consider that the link and the cooperation with the industry sometimes is much longer than the duration of a single project. So in our case, for Actris, we have a long-term strategy started already in 2000, so we also have a long-term strategy for innovation. The two things go in parallel. So what is the existing market? We need to study the existing market. We need to know the market. And we need also to understand what is the potential growth of the market and what is the role of the research infrastructure in this growth. And what is the target? In our case, it's mainly small and medium enterprises. We don't have big industry involved. And what is the scale? The scale is important because we also have to deal with competitiveness and competition at a different scale. So we need to handle local, regional, national, EU, and international SMEs. I mean, the market is on all these kind of scales. So the first thing I want to mention is the technological standardization. For us, it's very important to cooperate with the industry to develop what we have as a SIN and ISO initiative for specific instruments. Just to give you an idea, an ISO standard project lasts for at least 5-6 years. So, of course, this is nothing that can be done within a single European project, but it's something that is, you know, we need to build together with the community. So we are pretty, so now we are collecting the results from the previous projects, so it's an ongoing process. And what we are doing also, because this is a very important aspect, we are also improving this exchange of information also within the consortium in order to use the expertise from some partners also to spread this to the other partners. And of course, access opportunity is important. We provide for Actris 2 access to 18 observation sites plus the calibration centers. And we have also open calls, but we also have specific calls for the industry. Just to give you some numbers, as Octavi said, we are pretty in line with that. 10% of the total access is for the private sector. But I have to mention one thing, that now we are calculating only the transnational access. So we do not calculate the access that we have at the national level, which is also relevant. So if we look at what we are doing for the private sectors, most of the things are related to the calibration of existing instruments, and there is a lot of requests for training, which is important. And what I like is also that there is development already of new instruments in Actis2. This is started only 2 years ago. And the test of new instruments is only 2% because, of course, they need first to develop the instruments and then this will be tested. So this is pretty online. We are pretty happy about this kind of results so far. So, but what we can do more is really we need to create a platform for exchange of expertise with the industry because, as I said, there are not only suppliers or users that we need to work together with them. So what we decided to do is to have something which is enough flexible to be used with the different SMEs. I'm talking about SMEs with a few employees or till 20 or 30 employees, with different kind of markets and budgets or different needs. The idea is to have this kind of non-disclosure agreement which is flexible enough to adapt all the needs from the companies. Because, of course, it's open, we are open, but we need to be sure that some of the information are not passed from a company to another. This could be risky, and so this is why we need to have this kind of formal agreement. You know, at the beginning of the project, it was thought to have a sort of big forum, a big workshop to invite all the industries together and to discuss, blah, blah. But then at the end, it was clear from the industries that they want to have direct contact, bilateral contact. They don't like too much to discuss in front of other companies. On the other side, as a community, we need to provide a single entry and coordinated approach for innovation. And this is why we created this virtual innovation platform. And beside these more innovative instruments that I will present later on, of course, we continue to participate in larger events and, exhibits and so on, and flyers and website, all such kind of things. But let's go a little bit more on this virtual innovation platform. It's a web-based tool where we have all the specific documents available. First of all, there is the continuous call for all the associated partnership with the private sector, where it's discussed and we support also the signature of a specific non-disclosure agreement for a specific need for a specific company. And then we have specific calls for this is something wrong there? There is the continuous, but then there is also specific calls, I'm sorry. Yeah. And then, of course, there are announcements of opportunities for accessing the calibration centers and also the access stations, which provides transnational access. And what we are making available is also all the documentations on technological standardization. There are also announcements of specific tools. It was mentioned in the previous talk, the virtual research environment. Of course, there are a lot of things which are related to data and also to software development. It's not only technological, it's both. It's the real hardware, but also the software. And of course, we have the announcement of specific technical meetings and workshops. What is important is we are collecting and analyze the feedback from this transnational access, and we are creating reports on cooperation of the private sector. Of course, all those things are updated regularly, and of course needs to respect confidentiality which has been agreed with the specific companies. So just to arrive soon to the conclusion, so I was on time, I would say that we are devoting a lot of effort towards innovation and transfer of knowledge to the SMEs. And here I want to mention that I didn't touch in this presentation anything which is related to the societal benefit, to the society and policy, because this is also important. I focused mainly on the real work that we are doing for improving the cooperation with the industry. So far, we have 18 SMEs associated with Actis2 project, and 15 SMEs have already accessed Actis facilities. but we have a formal cooperation with more than 25 SMEs. I have to say that some of the SMEs, they don't care too much to be formally associated or not. They want just to use our expertise. So we are continuing this way, and we think that this kind of virtual innovation platform is a useful tool, and it was developed within this project, but we think that we will continue to apply this on the long term. And with that, thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you. Okay, our next speaker is Roberto Gotter. Good morning, Roberto. Roberto is a PhD scientific in physics, development senior scientist at the Institute of Materials of the National Research Council in Trieste. After a long experience as a beamline scientist at the Elettra synchrotron, at present he's focused on technological and research infrastructure programs. In this domain of nanotechnology, he's a member of several committees related to technology transfer, IPR, and patents, and standardization. He also takes part in the evaluation panels for industrial research and development projects funded by the Economic Development Minister, and he takes part in the Innovation Working Group in ESFRI. He's the coordinator of the Technical Liaison Network and IPR manager in the Horizon 2020 project and FFA Europe that enables coordinated access to infrastructures and different aspects of nanoscience research. Roberto, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning to everybody. Let me thank the organizers for giving me the opportunity to present the technical liaison network that is yes. I have another one. It's working. Okay. The technical liaison network that is, let me say, a new management of a complex and distributed research infrastructure. So after a quick overview of the objectives, I will introduce the concept of the technical liaison. I will say TLNet for brevity. And we will see the laser pointer is here. Yeah. Can you move it? Yeah, thanks. And we will see the open data, the information data repository system that you are setting up for improving the impact. And along the discussion, I will do some comparison with, let me say, well-known established approaches. So the objectives are quite, let's say, normal for the research infrastructure. We have to supply the widest range of tools in the research at the nanoscale, and we have something like 211 labs to manage and to provide the most effective solution also for innovation. NFFI is the nanoscience foundries that is combining nano labs with large-scale facilities, the analytical ones, providing characterizations. So it's a joining between very different competencies and sites as well. Of course, we want to provide a quick response, and we want to enhance continuously the impact and the attractiveness of the infrastructure. So the complexity, let me say that we have a boundary condition that is a single one, a unique, that is the complexity due to the wide participation. We have 20 partners of which 10 nanofoundries co-located with large-scale facilities that are other legal entities. We have 26 legal entities around Europe. And the second complexity is that we have, as I said, more than 200 labs, and this is the distribution of the 25 techniques that we have here, and on the several sites. So this is distribution. So you see that for a particular technique, we have the technique available at many sites, sometimes 5, 6, 7 sites. And this is a kind of a complex system to deal with. So we thought a sort of management that we call the technical liaison network. And we started with the concept that we are going to deal with research projects that are multi-technique, multi-site, but also multi-chance. That is, you can do the same experiment in different sites and in different paths to the sites. Let's say, in one word, the multi-platform offer. So we decided to approach this complex system and to make decision about what can be done, where and when, in a way that is as much as possible in the bottom-up mechanism, that is all the brains together to decide. So we are simply reproducing what is happening in the scientific publishing, where there is the well-known peer review mechanism that is well accepted by the scientific community. So you can see here the parallel. We have user applying for access as author applies for publication. The TLNet acts as an editorial board of the journal. So there will be sent to the NFFA scientist for the technical review, and then a decision about the best suited plan through the different sites. So this is mainly the platform that is showing you the mechanism. So here you have all the experiments and the proposals with the several steps, the several techniques requested. And here you have the different sites and a sort of feasibility flag. If it's feasible, if it's not feasible, partially feasible with some modifications. And there is an open platform where all the scientists participate and can add to each step a comment concerning if it's feasible, why, and in which way. And in some cases, as you can see in the blue cells, we open a forum, that is, we switch on a discussion with the users and the scientists providing the facilities. This is not an open forum, a public forum. It's a private forum between the users and the providers. And this also allows an overview of what is happening about the experiments, and the other scientists are able to see if the particular step is feasible in another site and in which way, and can participate to the discussion to improve the offer. So this is working well. That is, we are running now, we have 165 proposals. Most of them are feasible, and we have something like the 7% of industrial proposal as well. So the first remark, we tried to set up an improved framework where we achieved a full synergy among different research infrastructure. Different because we have nanolabs, growth, synthesis, theory, and characterization of several kinds, but complementary from the point of view of the innovation, that we have to join them together and we offer a full path through the different competencies for the experimental development by means of a real technically integrated offer by means of the TLNet. So is this just to have a comparison, the wafer light that is combining the offer of the synchrotrons, also this is very nice, very smart, and showing you, but in that case you just choose one laboratory, so it's not so complicated and you don't need this kind of technically integration. In that case, because you are doing more jumps between the several infrastructure, you have also to integrate technically the offer beyond from the management point of view. So we can attract users with also an effective interface, and we set up a sort of a one-stop shop and with a catalog providing a very easy overview of the offer. I said 25 techniques is not so few, and with very effective and short messages, and the user can, in case, read more. And we try to stimulate the user to play with the platform, a tool build up a work plan. Why? So the first step is just an overview of the techniques. This is in the case of growth and synthesis. We have several techniques, very short messages, focused on the product and on the application and not to the processes on the techniques. And it's very similar to what you do on the shopping online. That is, you have an overview of the products. You just read some aspects and then you choose one, and when you choose one you have more details. You see, for instance, where the technique is available, and this is similar when you select one product on the shop, and you can see the colors available, the several other aspects. And the third levels is showing details, technical details, and you can compare those details on the different sites. And this is very useful in order to help the user in choosing also, in case, the site. And when you choose 1, 2, 3 techniques, automatically you put them in the wish list as you do add to chart in the shop, and you automatically set up your work plan. You just include more text for explaining what you want to do, but the structure of the work plan of the proposal is made just adding to the cart the wish list. So the second remark, how to overcome bottlenecks, this is a short that is, we need to stimulate the scientists to participate to this technical platform in a bottom-up fashion. And the peer review mechanism is really well accepted. That is scientists participate with a good rate. Of course, in the project there is the reimbursement of the activities and possible collaboration with the users, co-authorship, so on and so on. But it's an important point that we have to find in every project, in every initiative, the way to stimulate the scientists to participate. So here there is a parallel between the Industrial Liaison Office and the TLNet, and because we need this technical integration, we need a sort of open discussion between the scientists that is a little bit different with the way to work of the Industrial Liaison Office that is just managing the request with in case the single lab or the service to be provided. And the last remark is in order we need to quantify the impact, in particular the intangible impact, like the image or notoriety at the local national level, that the ecosystem gain by the presence of the research infrastructures. And we have also to stimulate industry-side advertisements. That is, the company could say, oh, this has been developed at the XXX campus of the research infrastructure. That should be perceived as a branding added value also for the company. We need the room for pre-competitive development, that is initiatives that we have in Trieste as the open lab sharing at the RI premises to enhance the industrial presence and to facilitate the creation of co-creation of solutions. And finally, we have to improve impact and visibility by opening the data of our activity. But with the specific also a target to make a function between the data and some other information like the products and the application to scientific competence and the experimental techniques. That is, if you have the data available, okay, you can say maybe somebody will take a look at a certain time. But you need that when somebody gets a look to a data because is a type of material, is a type of product, and the users see the connection with the path through the techniques, through the research infrastructure. That is, we offer a lesson to learn to the, let's say, the initial industrial user to learn from a path that somebody else did in the past through the laboratories. So this is very important. So this is why we are also developing the information data repository platform. So this is I don't see. Okay, this is the rule that the data should be findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. And this is something that we can see in many discussion of the open data. So I don't need to say you the target of the DRP. I just say you that we propose to the user an initial embargo period of 3 years here. And then we propose to the user to open the data and the information, particularly the information about the proposal to the open data. What is important, that this is a rule of the Horizon 2020, that SMEs doesn't need to disseminate the results. So, and I see that most of the SMEs doesn't know about this, and they are afraid that they have to disseminate the results, but this is not true for the SME. It's only true for the big companies, for the great companies. And anyway, industrial user may also opt get the option for the proprietary research. And also we are trying to set up a sort of feasibility test that is a first touch from the industry, where we pay the travel cost to the users. We offer the labs just to understand if what they want to do is feasible or not, and to set up the best work plan. Okay. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you, Roberto. Our next speaker is Anton Usi. He's the Operations and Finance Director of EATRIS. Anton has a background in engineering and small enterprise. After several years engaged in technology transfer in medical imaging, he went on to specialize in the establishment and execution of public-private and public-public collaborations in the field of transnational research for medicine. Anton has been with Beatrice Eric since 2013, and he's part of the executive board since 2015. And he's also the work package leader for the innovation work package in Gobble project.
Thank you very
Welcome,
much.
Anton.
Thanks. I'll spend 5 minutes on the role of innovation in the Corbel project and the goals of the Corbel project, and a few minutes on the IATRA's view of stimulating innovation as well. Thank you very much to the organizers and to the hosts for inviting us to speak here today. It's a real pleasure. So the Corbel project is 11 of the 14 biomedical sciences research infrastructures coming together, the S3 infrastructures, to create a portfolio of shared services. So really I'm trying to, I think, make it a bit more user-friendly and demand-driven, and also by combining different infrastructure services into combined services for users. We aim to harmonize the processes a little bit and to make the alphabet soup of biomedical research a little bit more understandable for the end user. It's based on 4 pillars, one being the data management and integration of data, referring also to those FAIR principles we heard earlier. Physical access in 2 domains, the more biologically driven research, more fundamental, and the biomedical sciences, the more later stage research. ELSI, so the ethical, legal, societal concerns, and the innovation work package. So the 11 research infrastructures, obviously covering a very wide range of disciplines and sciences, and really from very foundational to also very much biological resource driven, to also very much applied research, such as that of translational research or clinical trials. So the idea is to harmonize user access, create common services and standards, and also to support innovation. It's really to try and bring the infrastructure services to the next level for the user community. So work package 8, the fostering innovation, the innovation work package. The idea was to really to look at one of the bottlenecks that we perceive in providing services to industry or to collaborating with external organizations, which is often academic groups do not necessarily have access to good expertise or have experience in dealing with the legal, the ethical, the market-driven, the contractual, the business aspect of collaborating with external organizations. But there are organizations that do have access to that, and there are a lot of academic groups that are strong at that, so we thought, let's bring it together and offer real-time support to these 11 infrastructures and their constituent academic groups. So we provide really real-time service, so if somebody would like support, they can contact us, to contact the innovation office. There are template documents being drafted and are drafted that support, so it can be templates for clinical trials, material transfer agreements, confidentiality disclosure agreements, all the fairly standard fare. But it's still, although very standardized, they're still not standardized. It still often takes 3 months to negotiate a confidentiality disclosure agreement if you want to discuss with industry. These aren't necessary framework conditions. We think that more can be done. Access to the knowledge and also the hands-on involvement in partnering. So also if you're dealing with an industry client and you really don't have the confidence to engage in a negotiation, we can also source experts or people with experience in the negotiation process. We'll also present these infrastructures the opportunity to present, firstly to optimize their services offering in terms of the language to industry, and then we offer to represent their services at the Biopartnering Convention in the USA each year, which is about 3,000 pharma, biotech, contract research, reagents companies coming together with a partnering concept where you can offer your services. And we did this for the first time last year, and the first thing we noticed was that academics need some help turning their science into marketing opportunities. It's just about language. It's really just about how you use language, but it's how you turn your technology push, your excellent science, the services that really can add value, and you turn it into language that says, you need this because this is what you're doing, and this is the problem we perceive you have and we can help you with. So going from technology push to demand draw, so that you really say, we see what you're doing in your research field, and we think these services can help you. And there, we have a webinar later this month to help the infrastructures with that, and we think that there's a lot that can be done, and just helping with this, what we perceive as ridiculous marketing language, but that actually can help actually try and redress the gap between the worlds of academia and industry. We'd like to invite you also to a high-level meeting on open innovation in Brussels on June 20th, which should be very interesting, which really covers what we're talking about today, really about how to stimulate open innovation, industrial access and industrial participation, and the research infrastructure roles in that. So that should be very interesting. Do please follow this link. I assume the slides will be available to everybody today. Do please follow the link and join us in Brussels if you're available. Now, I'd like to talk about IATRIS, which is the infrastructure for translational research, which is basically the process of taking the findings from foundational research and trying to turn it into an intervention, a product per se, that will affect a patient positively or affect society positively. It could be a new way of surveilling a society, or it could be a new treatment for Alzheimer's. So IATRIS is applied research from taking that discovery and taking it all the way through to clinical development. And so our mission is to support the European research area and beyond. We have clients from Japan, we have collaborators from Canada, USA, Australia. Take their concepts and bring the multidisciplinary team needed to be able to turn it into a product that shows high potential in preclinical and clinical development. Why do we want to do this? Well, because we're actually operating in the valley of death, which is this place where this moment you leave fundamental research, it becomes rather unsexy. There's no money, there's very little money, relatively speaking. It gets expensive. It goes from deep dive, open sky research, where you don't really mind what the answer is, to incredible multidisciplinarity. To undertake a biomedical innovation project, you probably need access to 12 or 15 different scientific disciplines to triangulate on the complex realm of biology, chemistry, clinical need, insights, etc., etc. And you really need cutting-edge analytical tools to be able to do that process. The problem in biomedical research also is predicting the viability of a medicine preclinically before you go to patients. Nowadays is fraught with difficulty, and you spend a lot of money thinking, great, this shows signals in some preclinical animal or cellular models, and then you spend a lot more money, then you go to phase 2 clinical trials where you're testing that, the actual hypothesis that it's going to be effective, and it's not. 65% of drugs fail at that stage, where the general out-of-pocket cost until there can be anywhere from 5 to 50 million euros. So we need to be able to validate tools and technologies that can help predict the success of drugs in specific biological circumstances. And to do that, we need access to those analytical readouts. We need access to the biological resources. And there has to be a very strong and consistent dialogue and interaction between the technologists, the biologists, and the clinicians. And to do that, also in this space, you also have to take the pain out of public-private collaboration, because academia has the biology, and industry has the resources, but also the market-driven understanding, but also the ability to conduct rigorous preclinical and clinical research that's necessary for the regulatory oversight. Only if we can do this effectively, are we able to then reduce some of the cost and timelines, which, as you see by the title, is quite substantial and still growing. It's about 2 billion euros, 12 to 15 years to develop one drug. Thank you. We're not very good at innovation. Academia is still focused on publications, and we see the publication as the end result. But in actual fact, if we're talking about society, the publication is just the beginning. So this is a call to the funders also to look at not the research as the process, but the output as being the beginning of that process. And we need to bring industry together with academia in order to work on the gap, the gap, stimulate open innovation, and we also have to combine forces. We shouldn't be funding things separately in our own countries, because translational research is rarely expensive. We need to work together to leverage things. In the Netherlands, we're working with a venture capital fund that is going to start funding, together with the 21 biomedical research charities, together with the IATRIS, to help leverage funds, select the best projects, select the best infrastructure, and try and bring them as quickly as possible towards the patient. It's these sort of innovations that is also very important. We should not look at the project. How can we stimulate innovation in the project? But how can we stimulate the framework? Everything outside of every project. If we can start hitting systemic bottlenecks, then every project thereafter will benefit from that solution. So let's look at the whole factory, whether it's how we fund research, how we assess it, and how we develop it further. I think there is where the real innovation can happen, and I think that's something that we all need to look at what our roles can be and try and make the change. So IATRIS does a lot of things to collaborate with peers to try and look at these systemic risks. Standardization, harmonization is really unsexy. Nobody wants to do it, but we have to do it, especially in biological research. We know what the reproducibility issues are. We also have to try and work with funders so that the funder can have more confidence. Give the funder access to the expertise to look at the regulatory pathway or the intellectual property. And we also need to acknowledge the fact that industry has a role to play with us and we with them. For instance, with GSK, we started up a 7-institution hub for developing imaging tools. And finally, in September, we have a great conference about the predictivity of translational medicine. We'll be talking about interesting funding models there as well and operational models. So if you have an interest in the field, we also have a workshop on how to assess research from the non-scientific element, the feasibility elements, and how to generate data packages that are fit for investment. So we hope to see you there. Thanks very much.
Yes, please. I would like to invite the speakers to join me here at the stage. For the questions and answer session, we have seen plenty of different visions and nice ideas how to tackle innovation in the research infrastructures, from technology transfer activities, communication to journalists, approaching SMEs and multidisciplinary actions that Anton mentioned. So it seems to be a lot of things to do. So we have a question there, please.
Will they be available on somewhere, these talks?
Yes. We'll let you know where.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks.
Yes, please.
Hello, hi. I'm Edward Mitchell from the European Synchrotron down in Grenoble. I was interested particularly in the last talk about the translational medicine. When you're developing these solutions hand in hand with industry, obviously there's a large amount of risk. There's also potentially a large amount of gain as well if you go into blockbuster territory. When we've talked about the sustainability of research infrastructures, people have started talking about sharing of IP with industry in order to generate returns to fund the research infrastructures. Is that something that you're aiming to do with these in this sort of medical domain?
Yes, certainly. I think IATRIS has the luxury that because we're quite applied and our tools can be used in drug development, we have the luxury of being able to get a significant revenue stream from industry, but that's not something that I can see being widely applicable to all the field, because most of the infrastructures are quite foundational in the research. Their analytical technologies are still extremely important for industry. It's a question of making that known to industry, but also the huge cost of validating tools. Industry doesn't want to use fancy new technology that they're not actually sure what it shows them, and these costs are enormous. And this is something we also need to collaborate on, is identifying really high potential tools and validating those. That there's the real cost. But yes, industry for us last year, 40% of our users were industry, and in fact we had more industry revenue than we did grant funding revenue.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Giacomo Copali from the National Research Council of Italy too. I'm sorry for that. But I work in a different field compared to my colleagues, so I work in a manufacturing institute. I say that because probably the contribution to innovation of research infrastructure depends on the sector where research infrastructure works. work and also on the type of research infrastructures. For example, e-research infrastructures can do some research on the data that can be immediately applied by end users. But in manufacturing, for example, research infrastructure, they generate enabling technologies that are very far from industrial application. So then, probably we need other type of infrastructure, which are innovation infrastructure, that are still infrastructure, but they are different. And they embed type of technologies and processes that you usually do not find in research infrastructure. Probably in the future, we should imagine a system where research infrastructure cooperate and are well aligned with innovation infrastructure. So they feed innovation infrastructure with new research outcomes and technologies in a dynamic way in order to continue generating the uptake of the research of the results of research infrastructure. This was just the consideration. This also reflects the last consideration that the last speaker made about the valley of death. We work in the valley of death through probably innovation, infrastructure and processes rather than research and infrastructure and processes.
Thank you. Any comment to?
I mean, even if I'm again from the National Research Council of Italy, I will not apologize for that. But I mean, I'm not so sure to well understand when you say innovation research infrastructures.
No. For example, innovation infrastructures are pilot plants. They can be pilot plants. In pilot plants, companies, and especially SMEs, define technologies that are very well instantiated in industrial applications that they usually do not find in research infrastructures, because there you need more general purpose technologies to do research on processes and not on demonstration.
No, okay, I got the point. I mean, there are different pilot actions in any. So it's the system is complex. Is, as you said, depends on the context, depends on the existing market. I would say that in the different research infrastructures in the different domain already, we have some idea of what is the. I will not say the best possible instruments to be adopted, but some experience, and I think that could be good to cluster this kind of experience, absolutely, yes.
My name is Adelino Canário, I'm from Portugal. My question is about transnational access. Considering what Mr. Quintana said at the beginning and how different the innovation ecosystems are, also the fact that SMEs normally probably don't have the time to move across to another country when they probably have something nearby, why shouldn't one concentrate on the local ecosystem, so open more this access, not so much transnational access, for innovation? That basically what I'm saying is the rules for companies being a bit different from the rules from science.
Thank you for the question. Actually, in our experience, we discover it. I mean, what you are saying, the fact that SME are not so much attracted by transnational access because they are, let's say, look more locally. I mean, resources that can be accessible in a local ecosystem. And actually, some infrastructure are moving in this direction. In our example, we, let's say, differentiated from the transnational access, making some calls for as well as the Tuscany Data Challenge. In that case, we are acting very locally, but the good thing is that when we make those calls in a local environment and we get experience in how to manage the relationship with the industries, actually we can export it, making, thanks to the infrastructure, repeating this experience in several national hotspots, let's say, I mean, of the project. So in this way, I agree with you that probably the small and medium enterprises are more attracted by local resources. But let's say that the infrastructure can expand their, let's say, opportunities, making, let's say, a sort of collector of things, I mean, expertise.
I want to add one thing. Actually, I have Philippe here in front of me. I mean, the transnational, we also experience this kind of problem, which is not only related to the fact that they don't want to go to a different country, but also because sometimes the transnational access procedure is too demanding for them. And there is probably something we should do more. But in principle, transnational access is taught exactly also for the SMEs where they don't have any kind of facility in their area. So this is an offer, and I think that we need to keep this absolutely, because as Octavi said earlier, we need to also increase the competitiveness in different areas. So this tool should be kept. What we could consider is to have a simplification of TNA procedures for the private sector. This could help.
So this is the reason why we set up the feasibility test that is carried out at local level. That is in order to attract the user, to make the user to get the first touch with the techniques, and they get the feeling, and maybe we will appreciate the offer, and then probably we'll be ready for applying to the transnational access. And also concerning the other point, we had a proposal asking for finite elements calculation that we do not provide because we are working in the nano-micro scale, the atomic scale simulations. But we know that there are other platforms, other initiatives providing this kind of capabilities that are more technological at the mesoscale, macro scale with technological laboratories. And probably in the future we'll need the connection between the research, the pure research that is at the, let's say, atomic molecular level with the mesos and macroscopic scale.
Okay, thank you. I see. I think that the problem is acknowledged, but the transnational access has also clear benefits for SMEs because they have the opportunity to do some international exchange that probably they don't have in their plans. So it has many collateral benefits for them. But your comment is welcome. Any other questions?
Hello. Jens Neskud from Aquacosm Research Infrastructure. In our proposal writing, we had a bunch of SMEs who wanted to be partners. Then we found out we can't have them as partners because they can't sell anything to us when they develop something during our project. Is this a known problem that's going to be changed in the new frame program? Because they really were interested. First had problems of writing all the stuff. We talked about the problems of getting them integrated. They don't understand to write it. They finally did it all, and then we realized we had to push them out again because we couldn't use them if they were in as partners. That was not a very good process, and now they still come to this meeting in Grenoble, some of them. The rest don't come anymore because they are sour. So is this something that's going to be changed in the next frame program? Because I really think it's a problem with this economy lockdown. Thanks.
I think that maybe this is a question for the Commission. I think that there's a huge support to SMEs in the work program, but I don't know if it was to say something.
You are saying is correct right now, and that concerns basically the relationship between different members of the same consortium. I mean, you don't have this kind of commercial relationship within a given consortium, and that's I would say normal. That means that you have to treat them differently in that respect. I have the vague feeling that it's not going to change in the future, to be completely honest.
Our big problem there was that we want to standardize. We want to standardize all over the place, and we need to buy it from the same producer. We can't. So that was the problem. it actually stopped us from doing one of the most important parts. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, noted. Thank you. I think that after now we should go to the coffee. In case you have any questions, you can contact the speakers while you have the coffee. I would like to ask you, please, if any of you came to the room without going to the register desk, please do it, because it's useful for us to have control of who has come to our session. Thank you very much.